My name is Ranjana Garg. I'm consultant endocrinologist, author, educator, and when I coach my consultant interview applicants, I'm asked a number of questions. One of them is very commonly it pops up and it says, why candidates underperform? Why do people fail? So today I'm going to talk to you about why candidates underperform in their NHS consultant interviews. Let's get the facts right. Interviews are not about showing what you are, and it is actually showing what you are, but it is beyond that. It's not about just thinking about your role as a clinician. It goes beyond that. You need to show that you already think and act like a consultant. You are one of the panel members. You are thinking like them. And when you demonstrate that successfully in your interview, then they feel, yes, that's the person we want in our trust. You have to show skills beyond clinical competencies and some of the domain that you get tested. And this is not an exhaustive list, there are more. But commonly, it could be about team working skills. Do you have the leadership skills? Are you aware of what's going on? Are you able to identify what are the problems in the system or the service? And would you be able to fix it rather than continue to moan, because nobody likes a moaner? Are you confident enough to speak up? And would you be able to communicate well your thoughts to people that you are communicating, addressing, and working on a day-to-day basis? You have to avoid these top mistakes that I'm going to go through so that you don't make these mistakes and you are a successful candidate like my previous 4,000 plus candidates that I have supported so far in my 20 years of career as coaching for consultant interviews as well as other NHS interviews. Many candidates don't take the interview like what it should be. It is quite a business-like process. They take it like a knowledge test. I'll be asked on this, I'll be asked a clinical scenario, I'll be asked about a mistake. That's not what it should be. It is not about knowledge. It is about your experience, your skill, what you bring to the trust. So don't focus only answering the question. Understand the question and then answer. And try to include something that adds some icing on the cake. Many times, candidates just speak without thinking. The panel has stopped asking questions and then they blurt out their response. That is not how it should be. You may invariably end up not giving the right answer or not having enough depth to your answer. Candidates often spend a lot of time doing searches. They want to search this report, that scandal, that news, NHS hot topic that came up. What else I need to know? The key burning issues, the key paper, technology appraisal that came out. You do need to know these things. You must know this, but you must have learned a lot of these during your training, or if you're acting up as a locum consultant, then you have this experience already. What you need to do is, what is the key message that you are searching for, and then use that in your interview. The biggest mistake, my biggest bone of contention is when you're practicing for your interview, when you're preparing for your interview, you look at the question list and you answer, but you don't actually verbalize. You're thinking what you're going to answer, and that makes a very painful process. When you actually start to speak, sometimes you don't have a flow, your contents don't come in the right manner, there are not linked properly, you jump from A to Z to Y to B to X, and it loses a plot. So as we said, there are a number of things that candidates get wrong. The common pitfall that I see, and that's what I will go through in today's short presentation, is how you can create your powerful responses and how to avoid this waffling. So one of the mistakes candidates do is that they fail to understand the job and the job description as well as the trust. If you look at the job description, it will tell you all about, you need to know about the trust. It will tell you where it is, what's the catchment area, what kind of demographic it has, and who the people, key people within the trust are. It will actually give you a hierarchy of the management structure that you need to know, because when you are going for your pre-interview visit, you need to meet these people. The other mistake candidates make is they don't read the job description. They don't have, or they have a limited evidence of having read that. They are not able to communicate what they read in the job description. They are not able to link what the trust is looking for, what their values are, and then communicate it back in the interviews. If you don't demonstrate this awareness of the trust strategies, their priorities, their values, challenges they are facing, how are you going to talk about them? You have to know these things. So do the relevant targeted searches so that you know and you can weave them into your answer. And most importantly, link your skills, your experience to the trust goals and visions. How can you resolve the challenges or contribute to make them feel those challenges less painful? Can you make them better? Can you contribute in some way? Would you be able to give some idea so that their waiting list bursting to the scene gets better? Or would you be able to introduce a technology or something that you could lead on, which will make everybody the workplace a nice place to work with? So when you look at the job description, make sure you understand what they are saying and what they actually mean. So when they are saying, well, we're looking for someone who is innovative, they actually mean someone who can understand, who can identify and come up with creative ideas, rather than I'm innovative. What does it mean? So think like that. Show and give numbers. It's not enough saying I've done this, but you need to say I have done this and this is the impact of what I have achieved, and that adds value to you, to what you say. The other mistake candidates make is that they fail to organize their thoughts. When they give any responses, their answers lack a clear structure, so that the message, the key message they're trying to communicate, is not communicated correctly, succinctly, with clarity. They frequently jump between points, so the whole narration becomes inconsistent. And when that happens, going from A to X to B to Z, it shows poor structure. Um, you can reduce this by using the framework. You could use the CAMP framework or I-STAR framework or SPICE framework, whichever framework you use, but you need to know what framework goes in what scenarios, what situations. So understand the frameworks. And when you give examples, make sure you give good examples. You cite examples that showcases you in the nicest way. Another thing that you can do is have examples handy for different situations. Now, I don't want you to create an example for every possible situation, because technically it's not possible. You may end up having being asked a question that you didn't think of, and now you are bowled over. But what you need to have is some key examples, some examples that you can use to different skills. For example, your quality improvement project, you could shine as someone who was an excellent team worker, or you demonstrated leadership skills, or your IT technology skills because you could work with different team members, or you analyzed the data and came out with beautiful, lovely graphs. So use what you want to use. Have some examples and identify which of the skills you are going to show in which of these examples, so that when you are asked a question, it comes to you very quickly. Make sure that when you are giving your answer, it has a structure. And I say, have the structure following an IBS strategy, or that's your another framework, which is simply introduction, body of the response, and summarizing. Don't end your response on a cliffhanger. We don't want to be in a situation where you're answering a question, you have finished answering, panel doesn't know that you've stopped answering, they are still marking you down. You are waiting for them to say something. When that doesn't happen, you start talking again. That looks very bad. It communicates to the panel that you're not sure, or you are adding things as an afterthought. To be honest, when you do that, you are actually repeating yourself, so you shouldn't be doing this. Ideally, if you end your response with a summary, then the panel suddenly gets alert that you're about to finish. They start doing what is the next, like asking the next question, move on to the next person. It also gives you the opportunity to add something that will make you shine and will be good for you. Sometimes candidates feel, oh my God, I freeze under pressure. I don't know how to say it. I can't even speak or start speaking. They end up having long pauses, and when they speak, they lack structure. If you demonstrate a noticeable difficulty in responding when faced with challenging questions or probing questions, obviously it's not going to go down very well in the interview, and you will be marked down. What happened is not only this question is affected, this type of personality, this type of people actually fail to recover having made one mistake. So the next question after this is worse, and the one after that is even worse, because now you are in a negative spiral. You don't have any control how to recover from that. So you must try to make sure that you have some anchor points so that you can recover. If you have been practicing, if you have had mock interviews under timed conditions, and I always say use your phone, use your online clock watches, looking at the screen, keeping an eye on the stopwatch, so you know how much time your questions take, how much time you respond, and whether you are talking for too long. Because remember, when you talk for too long, you are waffling, you lose plot. So make sure you practice under time condition. You can learn some box breathings or deep breathing exercises so that when things go wrong, take a deep breath and start afresh. So what? One question was not done rightly. You can still catch up on another question and wow the panel. Prepare some short anchor phrases to regain your composure and bring back your interviews. So if you say something in the next question that the options are, or the key points I have here, that will help you thinking on your feet again. I have not come across this in my 20 years of coaching career, but I have heard about it that extreme cases did need some counseling or some form of a therapy so they could get over this fear of interviews. I hope you're not one of them. Another reason people don't perform well is they don't showcase their experience and don't sell themselves. And I'm not talking about selling yourself, it's about showcasing your skill, your experience, what adds and what makes you the brightest candidate on the day so you get the highest marks on that day. You have to sell your experience, you have to give your experience in such a way that it is just not something you did, but show your impact. You need to have a structure, and which you will do when you talk and use the right framework. You must demonstrate that you have a depth in your answer, so you understand the points that are being raised in that particular question. You have thought about it, the implications, the impact of doing something or not doing something, or impact of policies, any guidelines, or something when something went wrong, and you understood, you acted on what was the result and action that you did, which made the things better. So when you intertwine these things, when you give a response, when you give what was your role, how this was relevant to the trust, how this got better, the situation, obviously you shine. Don't just say, well, I was the rota coordinator. Say, when I was the rota coordinator, the shortage of staffs were minimized. People were not calling sick because the rota was fair. There was a transparency. Everybody knew what they were doing, how they were doing. There was flexibility offered as long as it was not abused. So always show these skills that because that adds brownie points to yourself. Some people feel that they only have clinical examples, So even in the situations of conflict, what they can think is, I manage this condition with treatment A, and the other person wanted to manage this condition with treatment B. So there is a conflict. Well, you could use number of situations outside of clinical domains to give examples of leadership, teaching, governance, or conflict. When you are asked about a situation, don't think beyond. Do think beyond clinical work. Think, what do you do when you are not at work? Have you demonstrated leadership? Was there when there was a some sort of a commotion going on in the parking lot? Did you walk up to them and did you try to diffuse the situation? Were you able to can both parties agree on a common ground? And that's what you need to do. It is as simple as that. Make sure you look at your CV and identify what are your non-clinical wins. Did you win an award in a presentation, conference? Do people look forward to hearing you when you are a presenter or presenting in a meeting? You must rehearse these different type of questions and give examples so that you come across as a person which is a complete person. It's not a one-trick pony. You have multiple dimensions. And when you learn and practice using few examples to showcase different skills, it comes back very quickly to you. So remember that the consultant role is broader than just clinical work. When you use only clinical example, it shows limited experience in other domains. So you are not the top priority to be appointed on that day because you have missed the chance to show your strategic senior level thinking. And then you are not someone which is high in the top list to be appointed. And this is the favorite because most people do this. They come to me after attending a number of courses here and there, and when they are working with me, I feel like, oh my God, what have you been doing when you've been applying for so many interviews and failed 5 or 6? They ramble. When they ramble, they lose focus. And simplest way to fix this problem is identify what this question is about and focus on giving a structured answer using the right framework. We will be talking about how to give structure and what frameworks are used when you coach with myself. My name is Ranjana Garg, and I look forward to see you in my next meeting.